We the jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone, he said I need...
Woo. All right, boys. 2025, week 12. Let's get into it. All right, before we go into week 12, let's review week 11. We had Ryan versus Mike, a roommate battle brewing for over 10 years. I think AI had Ryan, at first at least, scoring 6 less points, so I was calling an upset. It looks like the original projection changed, and I'm not really sure what changed. I mean, Ryan did sub in Michael Wilson. I think that's about it, though. I don't see a big difference between the two, so I'm not really sure what changed. But when I did call the game, I changed out a kicker. But when I called the game, it was like 6 points, so I was calling for an upset. I did say that I liked Ryan's quarterbacks. He had Rodgers and Geno. Wasn't that I liked Rodgers and Geno so much, but I hated Dylan Gabriel on the other side for Mike. But Mike had Josh Allen. I said he can't combine for more. Rodgers and Geno, I was wrong. If you watched any football last week, Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing, while Rodgers and Geno combined for 29 points. So they almost got doubled up just with Josh Allen. Dylan Gabriel did pretty poorly. He had 3 points and had a concussion. So, yeah, I was definitely off on that. However, rest of the picks went pretty well. Ryan really kind of put the exclamation point on this by getting 21 points out of Pittsburgh's defense. So that's always a nice little bonus when you can grab that many points out of your defense. But Christian McCaffrey does what he does, scored 35 points again. Derrick Henry, again, 20 points. I mean, as long as they're leading, he seems to get you 20 every week. But his big pickup of the week, Michael Wilson, 33 points. Just a banger. CeeDee Lamb, solid 18. I mean, he had a pretty good game coming in at 187, almost breaking the 200-point mark. Now, that doesn't mean that Mike's out of it. He got 52 points out of Josh Allen. Problem is, Ricky Pearsall got him 1 point. Josh Jacobs got hurt, played I think most of the game, but wasn't doing very well. Scored 4 points. Rome Odunze continues to just not do much of anything. It's been probably 5 weeks of just like single-digit games. So you got 6 out of him. Courtland Sutton again disappoints. I said I didn't like Mike's receiver core. I mean, they have names, they're just not producing. So he didn't score very well either with 9. So Mike just didn't have anybody except Josh Allen. Josh Allen actually scored almost half of his points. Mike comes out of this one with a lowly 115. That puts your commish at only 2 losses on the season moving into week 12. So what's that make me? 10-2? 10-2? No. 9-2. Yeah, 9-2. So, yeah, pretty good streak so far. I'm right there with the betting boys. Betting boys have only lost 1 game all year. So if you're betting, I don't know how you're not following their picks. But if you know of a place to bet on some fantasy bookie for our league, does anybody want to start that business? Follow my picks. So, all right, let's move on to this week. So I tried to get everybody to get previewed the same amount of times. As of now, everybody has been previewed twice. A couple people with 3. Mike and Paul have only been once. So almost everybody's had at least 1 preview. I will try to get them in, but I do try to reserve these last 3 weeks for the Sacco or the playoff races. So that's how I'm going to kind of pick the games moving forward, regardless of how many times someone has been previewed. So this week we are going to look at a playoff race. The 2 Sacco races, really the 2 in last place right now, me, Kamish, I am the Sacco currently, but we have 2 4-7 teams. Mike is playing a first place team. Alan is playing current Sacco, Paul, who is in second. But really the most meaningful game, I think, this week, and with the closest score, is actually Ryan versus the Vikings. So we're going to get a rare back-to-back analysis for Ryan. The reason that we want this one is these 2 teams are currently in 4th and 7th, but they play in the same division if the Viking takes this game, he is going to go from the Sacco a few weeks ago into first place in the division. So he has a huge point advantage over Ryan. Currently, Thunder is technically in front of him by one game. So I guess Thunder could actually, if he wins the game, I guess lead the division. But he's got a huge point total on Thunder. So Viking really needs this game at 5-6. Ryan, at 6-5, just a very close race in the division. So this is the game we are going to preview. Now, waivers haven't run, so we might have some changes. I don't think there's much out on the wire. There's a couple running backs that might be useful. There are also a couple backup quarterbacks that'll be playing. Receivers, at this point in the year, you just can't find a receiver off the wire. Trust me, I'm trying. So, these should be pretty close to the starters. So let's get into it. At quarterback, Ryan, 6-5, has Bryce Young and Geno Smith after an injury to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is currently questionable and plays against Chicago. So this is a great week for Rodgers, but they don't know if he's going to play. He has some sort of tear in his non-throwing hand, so he might get it out, but yeah, that's tough. I'm going to go with Bryce Young and Geno. So let's just look at Bryce Young. This San Francisco defense is just decimated. They allowed just a ton of points last week. I got to think Bryce Young, I've dogged on him all year. I like him, but the guy hasn't thrown for 200 yards but one time. And then last week he threw for 448 and 3 touchdowns. Boom. So he gets San Francisco. Maybe they found something. I did hear this week that Tet was not solely on the outside. He's been playing a traditional X receiver, a lot of downfield stuff, and they decided this week to move him around the formation. Tet did get 2 touchdowns outside of one game this year. He has not scored a touchdown. So maybe they unlocked something. So good for Ryan. Maybe he did end up getting a good trade there with the Viking, and Bryce Young can put some damage against their former Viking leader for Ryan. Moving over to Geno, I don't know how you start this guy with confidence at all. He's got a couple 30-point games on the year, so you'd think he's capable, but he also has 3 games with single digits going up against Cleveland. Cleveland's offense is a mess, but their defense is for real. I think they have the best pass rusher in the league. So yeah, I'm not excited about this. AI has him at 19 points. I don't think he gets there. I think you're lucky if you get 15 out of him, and I'd play an injured Rodgers over Geno if given the opportunity. I wouldn't project him for much more, although he does have Chicago, so I might. I would put probably Rodgers over 20. AI has him at 16, so I think AI has got this flip-flopped for the preview of Ryan's quarterbacks. Moving over to the Vikings quarterback, he's got Stafford and Goff. Doesn't have much on his bench. Actually doesn't have backup quarterback outside of Jaden Daniels, and he is definitely not playing. The Viking did take a hit this week as Jamar Chase got suspended for spitting on somebody, but we'll talk about that in the receivers. As far as the quarterbacks go, Matt Stafford, he might be having an MVP type of year. He looks fantastic. He gets Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's defense is reeling. Stafford has had 30-point games. Half of his games this year have been 35 points or more. He is on fire. Last week, he did only score 18 against Seattle, but Seattle's defense has played very well all year. Tampa technically has a better pass defense, and they are getting healthy. If you're hoping for Stafford, I think what you're really hoping for is Tampa to score. So you're hoping like Chris Godwin plays or something. But their defense, the Rams defense, has been solid too. So while I really like Matt Stafford this year, I don't think this is one of his 5 touchdown, 35-point weeks. So I'm not picking him under 22 to 25 any week. So, just a solid outing, I think, coming in for Stafford. It's an island game, too, Sunday night. So see how he plays under the Whites. They are in Tampa, though, so he has done better at home. So, yeah, like I said, I don't expect him to have a bad game or anything, but I don't expect him to blow up. All right, looking over at Goff. Now, Goff gets just a falling apart Giants team. They do have a good front seven, but I'm going to say that, but they're allowing a ton of yards. Now, Goff did kind of fall apart last week, but he's following the same pattern. It's outside in Philly. I mean, that's been a problem for Goff ever since he's gotten to Detroit. But when they're at home under the lights, under the dome, he's been great. And he gets the Giants. They have the third worst passing defense in the league. So I'm going to think that Goff has a pretty good week. The over-under on this game is 49.5. It's actually a fun week for over-unders. We have several games at 49.5, I believe 3. So, they're favored by 10. I think that Goff, this is a 3 TD type of week. I think they need to prove a point going up against a bad team after a bad week at home. That offense is going to want to show everybody they are not done. And their defense has not been playing great. My only fear in this game is that the Giants just can't do anything with Winston, because he's Winston. He could throw 3 pick sixes, and then all of a sudden the Detroit offense doesn't do anything. So it could be a weird game like that, but I can't predict that, and I certainly wouldn't call that. So in this matchup, I think it's pretty clear. Steve has a huge advantage going up against Ryan. I'm going to hope that Bryce Young kind of keeps Ryan in it, and maybe Rodgers starts. That's kind of how Ryan gets here. All right, moving on we'll do the wide receivers next. All right, Ryan has Devonta Smith, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Wilson. I mean, that's definitely the strength of his team there. And that's, with a Kendrick Bourne that he had earlier, Ryan's certainly going to be searching for a waiver wire wide receiver this week, because I can't imagine Michael Wilson keeps that kind of streak of, 180 yards last week or something. So I don't imagine, 185 yards on 15 catches. Wow. So I don't imagine that happens again. But for him, he does get the Jags. The Jags have been a great run defense, not a great pass defense. Not bad, but not great. So if Marvin doesn't start, I can certainly see Wilson in that 15-point range. If Marvin starts, he gets relegated back down to his previous role where he just wasn't getting a lot of work. I mean, you're talking like 2 to 4 targets a game. So Ryan's really hoping for Marvin not to play because he just doesn't have a backup. I mean, Pop Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, these are not guys you want to start. He'd be looking for a waiver wire type receiver. But Devonta Smith and CeeDee Lamb kind of make up for that. Now they do play each other this week. It is in Dallas. So Dak almost won it for me last night. He's playing great. So, while Philly's defense, yes, has been good, I don't really care. I think it's at Dallas, and the over-under is 48.5. I think Dak is good against anybody. He puts up points. Whether or not they win, that's another story, because their defense ain't great. Although it's been better since their trades, I still think that Philadelphia's offense is good enough to score some points too. So I think CD has a big week. I just pencil him in for 15 every week, but I think he pushes the 20-point mark. AI has him at 22. So certainly a big game incoming for CD, in my opinion. And then you got Devonta. I mean, they force-fed A.J. Brown last week. It was very clear. And this week, they only gave Devonta 5 targets. He had 1 catch for 8 yards. That's just an oddity. Going up against the third worst Dallas passing defense. Hopefully A.J. Brown can just shut his mouth and they can keep giving the ball to Devonta because he's just been better this year. So they've got him at 15. I'm going to put him there for 20. So I think, solid week, and Ryan just needs to get some solid games out of his wide receivers and make up the difference in his wide receivers with the lack at quarterback. Because when we go to the other side, you want to talk about looking for a waiver wire wide receiver. Oof, Jamar Chase on the bench, Terry McLaurin out. There is not much going on in the Viking Villages. In terms of wide receivers, you got Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, Wan'Dale's a PPR machine, or he has 3 weeks in a row with 5 points. It's just, he is so hard to predict. The last 3 weeks, he's had 2 bad defenses, San Francisco and Chicago, with 12 points. And then last week, he plays a good defense, only gets 7 points. And we're talking 11 and 10 and 11 targets. So he's not doing anything with the targets. You would think, and the hope was this week that Jameis would kind of wake him up, but that just didn't happen. Now against Detroit, where he's going to have to score, he's going to have to throw the ball. If you're Steve, you're hoping this is Wan'Dale's random touchdown week, and instead of 10 or 12, he gets you 17. That's what you're hoping for, and I think that can happen. So I'm going to take the over on Wan'Dale AI 12 points. Trey Tucker, while he beat me last night, so mad still. Should have started Sean Tucker. Anyway, Trey Tucker certainly had a great game. 8 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown versus Dallas. So when I say great, Brock Bowers is obviously the first read there. Trey Tucker's, I think, the number 1 receiver there now with Jacoby gone. So the problem here is they get Cleveland, and as described earlier, Cleveland's defense, very good. Dylan Gabriel sucks. Shador's going to suck, but their defense is going to keep them in games. So 10 points if you're lucky here, Steve. And then you got Jacoby Myers. I just don't know how much he's going to play. He did get 6 targets last week. He looked solid, 5 catches. I don't know. He's hard to predict in terms of how much he's going to play. However, let's look at the matchup. The Jags get Arizona, and Arizona is just falling apart. Their defense is bad. They don't rank that bad on the season, but if you've watched them the past few weeks, I don't know what's going on, but they look terrible. So I actually think Jacoby Myers way outperforms this 8 points. I mean, I've got him chalked up for 15, and you're hoping for a touchdown. We got to see if BTJ is going to play. But, yeah, I mean, maybe 12 is, I think, kind of the floor. Certainly not 8. AI is high. So, I think these two positions are going to balance each other out. Ryan certainly has the advantage here, though. All right, let's go to running back. Running back, Ryan's kind of king. He somehow trades out Saquon for Derrick Henry and gets Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. As stated last week, you do not need an analysis for Christian McCaffrey. He is going to score 25 points every single week. And when he doesn't, it's disappointing. By the way, he's only not hit a total of 22 points twice. So minimum is kind of 22 of what you're looking at. But they had Carolina. I am going to predict that it's a higher scoring game than anticipated. So I'm hoping Bryce Young kind of took a step forward, gets another bad defense, builds some rapport with Tet. We do see some of these second half receivers, rookie receivers go off. They're figuring some things out. So I'm going to go over in this game. And if that's happening, I'm going to take C-Mac for kind of over 25. So another kind of big game incoming for them. And by the way, that's a Monday night game. The over-under is 48.5. So it looks like Vegas agrees with me. Moving on to Derrick Henry. It's snowing somewhere. The Yeti is out. As long as they are ahead, Derrick Henry continues to do well. He did begin the season kind of a tough stretch. In the first 5 weeks, he had 3 single-digit games, 1 10-point game, and only 1 game that was really worth starting him. And he still managed to have 4 touchdowns in that stretch. So he just was not playing well, but it's winter. The Yeti's out. He is getting an average of 20 carries a game. They get the Jets, who are bad, and I mean Tyrod's starting, but I don't think that matters. Lamar should get them out to a lead, and they should feed Henry. Henry should have another very good week. It is a low over-under at 44 points. That's what I would expect. Like I said, I expect Baltimore to get out to lead and just kind of feed Henry. So I'd chalk Henry in for at least 16 as the AI predicts, but I'm taking the over. I think Ryan gets a pair of 20-point weeks at least out of his running backs. Now, where did Saquon go? Well, he went over to the Viking camp. The Viking has a very good pair of running backs also. He has Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson. Let's just start with Bijan. Look, Algier is annoyingly taking goal line work, and despite the fact that Bijan had 2 touchdowns last week and a 30-point game, Algier still stole a touchdown. So that's just a concern. It limits your upside. Bijan had 2 last week. He only had 2 on the entire season prior to that. And he had to have 4 catches to get to that 30-point mark. New Orleans, sorry, Coop, but they're not very good. Their offense has been better than I thought it would be. But this is a 39-point game. I mean, I guess it's in New Orleans, so you hope their offense can do something. I just don't think they're going to score. So your best hope for Bijan this week to have a big week is not 25 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. It is salting the game away. That is what you are hoping for. You might get a touchdown out of him. AI has him at 22. I just can't see him getting there. He's not going to have 5 or 6 catches. They're just not going to need it. So you hope he runs up the middle, and breaks one off somehow when they're trying to drain clock. So I'm going to take him on the under for 22. However, Saquon Barkley, he is coming alive. He's had not a bad season, but certainly not a 2,000-yard season like last year. But the last 3 weeks, he's been solid. He's a big 33-point outing, then a 13 and a 10. But that 10-point outing, he just didn't score a touchdown. He had 26 carries and only 1 catch, and that was against Detroit's run defense, which Detroit's defense not great, but their run defense is very good because their pass defense hasn't been very good, and everyone's passing on them. So, I mean, he's just been solid. As a number 2 running back, you got to be happy. He gets Dallas. Dallas's defense is terrible all the way around. And like I said earlier, I do think Dallas scores some points. It is in Dallas. So Saquon, I think you can push 20 with Saquon because I think he does get a touchdown in this game. Again, high over under. So Steve, I think he kind of matches Ryan here, I'm certainly going to give the edge to Ryan, but it's pretty close. And AI has it pretty close too, but I got higher upside for Ryan, so I'm certainly going to take Ryan based on the matchups this week. All right, tight ends. Not a lot to talk about here. Brock Bowers for Ryan. He does get Cleveland if you want to try to find a way to pick that apart, but I don't care. Last week, yes, he did have a poor week, or 2 weeks ago did have a poor week. He only had 3 targets, but last week he had 12 targets, and 2 weeks ago he had 13 targets. You don't get that at wide receiver. So they are certainly feeding him the ball, and Pete Carroll specifically said, I wanted to get Brock the ball. So, yeah, I don't care that it's Cleveland. The offense runs through him. He's going to have a good week, whether or not he gets a touchdown or 3 like he did a few weeks ago. And Steve has Kate Otten. So don't think I need a lot of analysis here. Huge advantage for Ryan. Now at the flex, both of these teams are just struggling. We got double tight end for Ryan. The true high T offense. He went early running backs and he's going double tight end. He gets Dallas Goedert again in the Philly game. I don't know. He's Dallas Goedert. He's fine. Sometimes he gets a touchdown. He's actually got a lot of touchdowns this year. But with Devonta and A.J. Brown healthy, he's never been good. He gets 3 targets a game. He had 5 last week. He had 2 catches for 20 yards. I guess, again, you're hoping Dallas and he gets the touchdown instead of Saquon or instead of a tush push. But I'm not betting on that. Ryan on the bench has David Montgomery, who has certainly been a letdown. But he does play the Giants this week. So if I were him, I'd be putting in Montgomery and hoping for a touchdown. But on the other side, it ain't much better. Steve's got Matthew Golden, who he irrationally thinks is good and is going to break out. The guy hasn't had a single game. Oh, I'm sorry, one game with 5 catches. Every other game is 2, 2, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1 last week. I would take any waiver wire receiver and play him over Golden. On his own team, he has Tyler Algier. I might start Tyler Algier and hope for a touchdown against New Orleans. I think he has a better shot at having more points. I mean, he does have more points. Last week he had 10. The week before he had 17. These are terrible flexes. So whatever. Nobody gets the advantage in the flex spot. Guys, go find somebody else. Not much left here. We got kickers, defenses. AI has Ryan by a significant amount, by 20. I am not setting the spread at 20. I am going to assume Steve makes some sort of trade. Why? Because he's Steve. He doesn't have Jamar Chase. That's a huge hit for his team. Maybe he goes out and trades Jamar Chase for, I don't know, Justin Jefferson or something. But yeah, I think Steve ends up finding a way to kind of fill that flex to especially to close this AI gap. But I'm still going to take Ryan. I like Ryan's team. He would be high in my power rankings. He does have pretty poor quarterbacks. But I mean, these running backs are great. CD and Devonta, you just got to kind of find that third. He found that in Michael Wilson. Chuba really letting him down because that was supposed to be his flex. But yeah, I like his team. I mean, man, Steve, those wide receivers are bad. So you're really dependent on Chase, and that spitting incident hurts you. So I am taking Ryan for the win. Back-to-back weeks. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, Ryan, but you got my vote twice. All right, that's it for this week's preview. Winner of this game, huge bump into the playoffs. Loser of this game, really going to have an uphill battle. So let's watch this one closely. All right, that's it for me. Chad, you dong lover, play me out.
We the jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone. He said I need